In my earlier avatar as a consultant with McKinsey and Egon Zehnder for close to a decade, I noticed that leaders often had access to some of the best advisors when it came to business decisions, whether it was strategy consultants, investment bankers, lawyers, marketing agencies, IT vendors, and so on. But I noticed that when it came to solving some of the questions around their journey, they were doing it in a reasonably lonely and a reasonably suboptimal way. And I specifically use the word suboptimal for a few reasons. One, these leaders are often very busy and don't have the mind space to be thoughtful about the key questions in their journey. Two, in their workplace, they often get feedback around how to grow, but they often don't get feedback around where to go, which is often a very different question. And three, I find this a little similar to the frog in a boiling water kind of a syndrome, where they've made a few choices in a certain life context, but slowly over the last 10, 15, 20 years, a lot of variables have changed, and the choices they made aren't as relevant in the context of their current life. Four, I call this the journey bias. A lot of leaders have made a certain set of choices, but what they don't realize is the way they look at the world and the way they frame the problem and the opportunity set is constrained by what they've seen and the worldview that they've been exposed to. Five, last but not the least, there's this element of confidentiality and sensitivity. These are some of the questions which are very, very sensitive. And if you're a CEO of, let's say, a public listed company, you can't discuss this with anybody. But the fact that you're looking to do something else could be valuable market information, and it could affect a lot of things in the ecosystem. And there are different situations in which people reach out. One could be that they're doing well in a certain role, but they get a call from a search consultant for an opportunity, and they're saying, should I evaluate this or not? Second, they might have taken on an exciting role, but within 3 to 6 months, they realize that they've made the wrong career choice, and they want to discuss with somebody, should they cut their losses and move on, or should they persist? Or three, it could be a phase of life. Sometimes people go through midlife and they say, I know that in my current equation, something's got to give, something's not ideal, but how do I think about the transition given where I am? So the point is, the questions could vary from person to person, but in a lot of these situations, I realize that leaders just need somebody to talk to clear their thinking. In these situations, I try and be of value by doing three things. One is really pressure test their thinking, to challenge their thinking to ensure that they've thought about the different variables and they are framing the problem right. Second is sharing some of my perspectives, and there are really three sources. One is my journey at Egon Zehnder, where I had a window seat into several transitions that I saw leaders make. Second is my journey as a transition advisor and having worked with leaders over the last few years after I moved on from Egon Zehnder. And third is the lessons I've learned from the Play to Potential podcast, where I've interviewed people from different walks of life on how they've thought about the where to go and how to grow. Hopefully, by sharing some of these experiences, I'm able to provide perspectives to the leader to ensure that they're framing the problem right and they're sort of thinking about the issue in a holistic way. And finally, I realized that a lot of people come to me with a reasonable hunch on what they think is the right answer, but they're looking for greater conviction. And they want to talk to somebody to ensure that they are sure that this is the right decision given what's at stake. In all our journeys, there are a few vital choices we make which define our trajectory. My role is to be the trusted sounding board in ensuring that you make a robust decision while considering all the consequences. The crux here is that a lot of these are high stakes decisions. There are a few vital decisions we make in our journey, and my objective is to ensure that you follow the right decision-making process as you evaluate some of these choices. In business, we talk about the two questions, where to play and how to win. And I believe that if you get the where to play wrong, there's no point solving the how to win. And if I transpose that to a personal domain, my objective is to ensure that you solve the where to go question in a rigorous and a thoughtful manner. Thank you.